He had a lot of big fights over the weekend. And the first one I want to talk about with you is Jon Jones and Stipe Miocic last night.
Yeah.
I thought Stipe looked good for the first couple rounds after he got just punished by the elbows. But, like, how insane is it to see Jon just competing at this level at his age?
Yeah, I mean, Jon started the UFC when he was so young, so it almost feels like he's been in the company for, 30 years. It's been a long time, but we've really seen him since he's been in there since he was like 20 years old. So, I mean, to see this, mature, grown adult now, and he's still moving kind of like he was when he was
like a light heavyweight last night with those kicks.
Yeah, he's got the power of the hands, obviously, and the wrestling, but it's really, like you said, the speed of the kicks that really is overwhelming for a lot of people. I think you kind of saw it early when he was doing those side kicks to the body, and then Stipe's face just kind of glazed over like, oh gosh, like I don't know what to do. And that's no disrespect to Stipe, obviously, but it's overwhelming for anybody. And that was vintage. That was perfect Jon Jones right there. It was almost like when he was on his tear, when he was at light heavyweight. It's really cool to see, and I think it's great for the sport, especially because the heavyweight and the light heavyweight division has been so meh as of late. And if he can get more active, which, his post-fight conference seems like that's the way he wants to
He's got a lot of options to weigh, and going back to the fight, like in the first round, like, I mean, he literally picked Stipe up with one arm and just slammed it to the ground. I've never seen anybody do that.
That trip was beautiful. Yeah, I mean, you see some of those lighter weight classes. Peter Yan's a great example of someone who does that trip, and it all starts from confusing them with your lower limbs. He was attacking that body from all different angles, and then he feints that kick to the body. Stipe thinks he comes to the body, and then he trips him, almost like he takes his ankle over his ankle, and it looked like a choke slam. I mean, people that haven't seen it,
looked like rock bottom from WWE.
Exactly,
literally.
Yeah, it looked like definitely a WWE move, but it was beautifully executed, and once he was on top, I mean, some of those elbows, I don't know how they didn't put out.
Like Stipe's face was wide open.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of things that don't get talked about a lot in Jon Jones' game. Obviously, the flashiness of the spinning attacks and stuff on the feet, but when he's on top of you, those elbows, we've seen it time and time again. It's not pretty, it's not the flashiest thing, but it's effective, and it definitely, shook the cobwebs up there for Stipe, and it changed the fight. I think when he's on the stool going into the second round.
Gosh, I was looking at, he was breathing really heavy. Like, I was like, you just took an absolute beating. Like, I'm surprised you're even ready to go back in there. And that's what I was like thinking, like, until he got knocked down and like that spinning kick. And Stipe looked kind of stiff, but he looked like he was kind of starting to pick it up. He was landing some punches.
Yeah, and I think something that you kind of heard us quarter reiterate, and it's it's always easier to say it from I'm laying in bed watching it, but he hits him with a 1 or 2 strike combination and kind of let Jones off the hook. One, he would kind of follow up with those next 2 strikes, made it 4-punch combinations. He was backing Jones up, and he had him on his heels at points, and his corner kept saying, go forward, don't stop there after that second shot. I obviously, again, you're standing in front of Jon Jones, you don't want to get it out.
They also were telling him, like, keep moving your feet.
I
heard that many times.
And you would hear him recognize that and then start moving his feet because he was getting a little bit flat-footed in there. But again, it's just so hard when you have somebody like Jon Jones who can attack you from every angle.
He stiffened up. Jon landed a jab and then came over with an overhand right. That was like, he just stood there and took it.
Yeah. That right hand that he was landing was just like going water to the well. Bang, bang, bang. It was landing all night. And again, he's setting that up from starting from the ground up, starting at the legs, starting at the body, and then you're thinking about that, and then you can land that
low calf kicks as well. Everybody's using that to start out.
Yeah. So I was beautifully executed. I'm excited to see what happens next.
And that spinning kick to the liver, dude. I mean, holy crap.
I'm not sure if you ever heard of the guy MMA Guru.
I think I've heard of him.
He causes a lot of problems online. He's an interesting guy. People have his opinions on him, but I like him. I enjoy him. He called a spinning heel kick to the body, which is, if you go back and watch it, it's like what a great call. And he was right. You know, he attacks him from one side, and then you're blocking that side, go to the other. And that was just classic Jon Jones.
I mean, just looking what he's done. I mean, he's one of 4 fighters to defend the belt in 2 different weight classes. I mean, he's in a class of his own. He keeps separating himself.
Yeah, right. And the more we get to see of him, which hopefully it's a lot more, the more he's going to prove that. I mean, you can't, especially after his last night, I mean, you can say Stipe is, you know, older and not getting up there. It doesn't matter. That could have been anybody, in my opinion, and he would have done the same thing. He's just that good. And again, there's just nothing that has really threatened him. You could argue the Dominic Reyes fight he lost or whatever, but it's not like he ever was in danger.
No,
you know,
he's never been in danger.
Yeah.
Being in danger for Jon Jones does not go together.
The Vitor Belfort armbar is probably the closest thing.
Yes.
But that's almost 10 years ago now, almost, which is crazy.
So Joe Rogan was asking him in the cage after he won, and it was just absolutely brutal knockout. I mean, and they could have stopped it earlier. I mean, Stipe he went down immediately.
Right,
he didn't need to hit all.
I mean, that one right hand he almost landed. Thank God that missed, because when he dropped, it missed by about that.
It was when he was on the ground, right?
Yeah,
I don't know how he slipped that.
I think it was more of a Jones miss, but thank God that the ref jumped in when he did, because if that one would have landed, that could have been bad.
Yeah, that could. And Stipe retired after the fight. He called it quits, which I think everyone expected that.
Yeah,
because he's 42. I mean, he's really getting up there in age. He hadn't fought in a long time.
Yeah,
so.
There was talks of both of them retiring. I mean, thank gosh that Jon.
Yeah,
I'm
so glad he did
it. But it stinks. You want a fighter to go out with a win. Everybody wants that, and then it becomes how long. If you get that win, you think you can still fight. So that's always a bittersweet thing. Stipe's a legend. He's going to go down in the Hall of Fame as one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. Yeah. I would have loved to see him go out with a win, obviously, but then that's that little dopamine rush of, I got to win. I still got it. I can keep doing this. I can keep doing this. And then, people know when it's time. So I'm
glad it was a good fight. He put up a good fight. But for Jon, he's got. Who do you want to see him fight next? Tom Aspinall or Alex Pereira?
I want the Pereira fight. I do too. I mean, I would say the majority of people do. I think it would be incredible for the sport, first of all, because Alex Pereira is now almost a household name. Like, casuals know who Poton is. And unfortunately, again, this is no disrespect to Aspinall, but that's not the case with him. If someone sees Jon Jones versus Aspinall, most people that aren't fight fans are going to say, who's Aspinall? I think when you see Jon Jones versus Pereira, most people know who that is. And I think that could be a record-breaking fight.
And they're talking about a catch weight.
And who knows what weight that'll be. Pereira's weight is such a mystery to me. I have no clue how much that dude actively weighs. There was a picture 2 weeks ago that came out with him next to Roman Reigns, the WWE wrestler, obviously, and he is bigger than Roman Reigns, who is huge. And it's how did you used to make 180?
I don't know how, dude. I don't know how.
It's a mystery. He is a mysterious fighter, and he's a fun fighter.
He is. He knocks people out. He's showtime.
So I think that fight would sell, and that's what I want to see. Aspinall obviously would be fun. Anytime Jon Jones fights is going to be fun.
You're right.
But for the sport, I think the Pereira fight would be huge.
And I feel like that fight is for the GOAT. Honestly, it kind of feels that way. It's the way Potons came in and just dominated.
Yeah. I mean, has a fairly young career in the UFC, obviously. I mean, if he knocks out Jon Jones, then we got to start talking about it. But if he had a few more years of doing what he has been doing, you could make the argument for sure. And he is the company guy right now. There's someone that backs out of a fight, someone gets injured. Call him. He'll make the
and he's fighting many times. He's not taking that much time off either.
The activity is very commendable. It's great for the sport. Yeah.
I want to see it, and they're talking about having a catch weight for the BMF belt, which would be nuts.
Yeah, that would be. I think it would be cool to have lighter guy BMF and then a heavier guy BMF. So I think it would make sense to do that because we've really only seen the BMF at that 45, 55 range. And I mean, how can you argue that those guys are bigger BMFs than Jon Jones or Pereira? I think they should have like a separate, like, not that 45 and 55 are little guys. To me, they're huge. But there should be a smaller BMF and then a bigger BMF, and I think it'd be cool.
Talk to me, baby. Talk to me nice. I'm from another world, baby, yeah. Right way paradise. They think I'm way too cold, cause I put my